Hi, my name is Andrea Huber, and this is my first YouTube video. The purpose of my video is I woke up this morning with a strong desire to share a little about my 30-year battle with depression. I'm not a psychiatrist or a trained counselor, but I've had many great sessions with these professionals, and their uh, guidance cannot be underestimated. So if you're in a crisis situation, please reach out by phone by dialing 988 or seeking a counselor in person. So as I said, I have battled depression for about 30 years and I have made several suicide attempts. In 2008, I was in a particularly um, uh, in a place of despair, in isolation. And after I attempted suicide, I went to a behavioral care facility for a week. And of course, we had small groups where we shared. We had one on one therapy. We learned coping techniques. And before I was discharged, they strongly encouraged me to join small groups, um, in particular for depression and anxiety. So I did that. I researched each week went by, months went by, and I sought out every group in my city. And one Wednesday night in particular was no different, or so I thought. I went to the church where the meeting was. I went to the room. There was a big round table with about 10 people. So I sat down. The man next to me began the meeting, and he was telling a story about his son who had committed suicide. I had stumbled into a suicide survivors meeting. As you can imagine, the people there were in various stages of grief. Some in sorrow and despair. Some were very angry. Some just asked, why? What could I have done? There was one lady there that I remember. She was able to tell a lighthearted story and people giggled. But for the most part, it was very somber. When it came my turn, I passed and I went out to my car and I cried. And I cried and I cried for what seemed like hours. Those people sitting around the table represented my family and friends. And the impact that it had, I probably can't explain adequately, but it did change my life. And it changed um, my feelings of self worth. I did tell that story to an acquaintance, and she said, "Well, that's great for you. You had family and friends. What about people who don't have that?" If you're that person, I would encourage you to make one small step, whether it's a text, a phone call, reaching out online. And I know that's hard because throughout my battle with depression, there were days when I couldn't get out of bed, much less do the basics of life. Many times calling out of work, many times not even being able to function, even just to do small chores or get something to eat. But I think the reason I woke up and had this on my mind this morning is that there's somebody out there that needs to know there's hope. And that hope comes through community. It and my story is not a fairy tale story, a happily ever after. Um, but I do have coping skills now, and I do still go to small groups. I go to a group called Celebrate Recovery, and it is for people with um, all kinds of hurts, habits. It could be overeating, it could be codependence, it could be anger, it could be alcohol addiction, drug addiction. But the one thing that I have seen there is no judgment, lots of care, lots of love. And you will be amazed that there are people out there with a story similar to yours if you'll give it just one chance. I hope to make more of these videos, just kind of talking about my journey through depression. But that's the main thing I woke up this morning wanting to share. It's just that one story of one Wednesday night where I believe God placed me for a reason. That's been what, 18 years ago, and I'm just now sharing it. Your story is still to be told, also. And I thank you for listening to this video, and I hope to make more.